Yo, yo, yo. Good morning, Freedom Marchers. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. This is Tyrus Bane coming at y'all with just a quick live stream. I want to do something real quick. Listen, I want to address Pro 2A groups and Pro 2A YouTubers. All right, anybody that's Pro 2A. The reason I'm doing this is because as much as these people come on YouTube or come out and they speak for the Second Amendment, they speak for the right to keep and bear arms, I don't think their heart and their balls are in it 100%. And if your heart and balls aren't in 100%, then the progress is going to be slow moving, is going to be stagnant for a period of time, and what you're doing is you're waiting for tides to change in your direction without getting your ass in that boat and motherfucking turning on that goddamn throttle. What am I talking about? Well, I'll give a specific example. I was watching a live stream with Braden from Langley Outdoors Academy. He seems like a very nice guy. I don't have anything personally against Braden from Langley Outdoors Academy, but and it wasn't just him that I addressed with this. He actually replied to the super chat I put up. And in the super chat, I said, these lawmakers, right? Those senators that passed that bill, the one that's the bipartisan bill that Biden just signed, that involves money to states with red flag laws, that involved, further background checks for people under the age of 21 and all that shit. I said that those individuals, we need to call for their arrest for violating 18 U.S. Code 242. And I said we should now I did this for a reason, right? I said we should organize a march for our rights, right? So that we can really show them what's up, and then make sure that we have our tools with us, and make sure we have our tools on display. Now, he liked the idea of marching for our rights, but when it came to calling for the arrest of these crooked politicians for violating 18 U.S. Code 242, he wasn't having that, right? He said, oh, well, as far as calling for the arrest of senators, blah, 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 that's not really what blah, blah, blah we should be doing. What do you mean? Who's going to do it? Who's going to do this? Who's going to call for this? Who's going to put it out there? Who's going to do it but the constituents, right? Last I checked, it was the consent of the governed. And so the governed people that gave their consent can take it away. You see, if you're not willing to have treasonous politicians arrested for being traitors, for being treasonous, for violating 18 U.S. Code 242, for conspiring to deprive people of their rights, then what really are you willing to do to ensure that we have our rights? You understand what I'm saying? You are placing all the hope in politicians to stop other politicians from doing what politicians do best, right? Which is extract wealth from the people, control the people, right? Use the people as pawns to push agendas. That's what they do. So who is going to do it? And if you're not willing to call for the arrest of these people, then what are you willing to, what's the whole point of what you're doing, right? Because let's face it, what the Supreme Court did with, the Bruen case, New York Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruen, so they made it shall issue instead of may issue, right? They said that you have to use text in history and all that type of shit, right? Yeah, they did something, right? But then what happened, right? What happened along with that decision? Clarence Thomas, he did the best he could to ensure that our rights to keep and bear arms are intact. But what did Kavanaugh come and do? Kavanaugh came along and said, you know what? You guys, you states, individual states can still require a permit for individuals who would like to conceal carry. That completely, you know what I'm saying? That completely opened the door for these tyrants to find loopholes to continue to violate. So the Supreme Court took one step forward and two steps, well, I won't say 2 steps forward and 1 step back, right? Did they open the door to reconsider cases, you know, for weapons, for assault weapons bans and magazine bans? Sure, yeah, they did that. But all they did was kick it down to the lower courts again. And what they're going to do is give these lower courts who are anti-Second Amendment, who are anti-pro rights, they're going to give them an opportunity to find a way again to skirt around the decision and try their best to create a ban anyway, right? They're going to try to find a way. They're going to go all the way back in history. They're going to find any way they can, right? Even though they're supposed to go by the text of the Second Amendment. And this is my thing. Why go with history and tradition and the text in the Second Amendment? Why not just go with the text in the Second Amendment? So if he'd have just stuck with the text in the Second Amendment, then history and all that other shit, history and tradition, wouldn't play into it. They wouldn't even have that avenue to go by, because they wouldn't be able to go back and say, look, way back in 1902, there was this restriction for this firearm, blah, blah, blah. They did this, they did that. If he'd have stuck with strictly Second Amendment text, they would not be able to create any law, any gun law at all, right? They would not be able to violate your right to keep and bear arms unless you committed a crime, a heinous crime. And in order to commit a heinous crime, you need to leave a victim. They would not be able to do it. You see, we're calling for victory. We're calling this victory. Oh, this was a victory. This was a win, right? But if it was a true victory, then they would have eradicated every single gun control law. They wouldn't even, like, these politicians wouldn't even have to have an opportunity to justify violating our right to keep and bear arms. But what did Kavanaugh do? He left the door open for these people to continue to do it. And what are we doing? What are we pro-2A people doing? We're praying. Oh, if they kick this down to the lower courts, oh, maybe they'll remove the ban. Maybe they'll remove this, remove that. No, that's not enough. That's not enough, right? It's not enough for them to remove good cause from the requirements to get a permit. It's not enough for them to remove the may issue bullshit and go with shall issue. It's not enough. You know what enough is? Permitless carry. Because the Supreme Court decision that was made alongside with what Kavanaugh said is complete contradictions, right? There's no history and tradition of requiring a permit for people to keep and bear arms. When the text of the Second Amendment was written, there was no permit. You didn't have to ask permission. You just did what you had to do. You carried. This permit bullshit is fairly recent throughout the history of this country. But when it's time to really make moves and push the line, are these pro-2A groups, are these pro-2A YouTubers, are they really willing to take that step? What's wrong with calling for the arrest of people who commit treason against their people? Why is that a line too far? If you want these so-called lawmakers to respect our freedoms, you have to be willing to call for retribution when they violate. When they violate, they need to know that there are real consequences, right? Look what before they passed that new law in the Senate, right? Before they, the guy from Cornyn, what did he say? What did he say when he went to Texas and they booed his ass off stage? They wouldn't let him talk. They booed him and all this other shit. They said, "Oh, fuck you," and all this other shit. What happened when he got back to Washington? When he got back to the safety of Washington State or Washington, D.C., he said, "I will not be influenced by the mob. I will not let the mob sway me." But that mob puts you in power. Those are your constituents. Those are individuals that you're supposed to be representing. So what are you talking about? So this is why I have a problem with the constitutional republic. Or the Republican democracy. Once you get these motherfuckers in power, they do whatever the fuck they want, as Cornyn did. He went against the very desires and wishes of his constituents and put this shit out there. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, people are saying, "Oh, it's not really that bad," and all that shit. It doesn't matter if it's not really that bad. You understand what I'm saying? Bribing states to initiate red flag laws, but then you say, "Oh, well, there's going to be due process." But what did you do? What sneaky shit did you do? You said that an individual can defend himself against these accusations at no expense to the government, right? So if an individual gets red flagged and, you know what I'm saying, and they have to present an argument for their defense, they have to come out of the pocket, even though it's not really a civil case. You're essentially, when you're red flagged, they're basically saying that you have the potential to act in a criminal way and be a danger to yourself or others. So under the circumstances that you're criminally charged with something and you have to go to court for criminal proceedings, you can be given a court appointed lawyer. But they didn't allow that with this shit here, right? So yeah, they put due process in there, but it's going to be harder for you to defend yourself during this due process if you ain't got the bread. If you ain't got the money to defend yourself against these accusations, then you might as well not even defend yourself. Or you can actually defend yourself and be your own lawyer, but if you don't have the intelligence and the persuasive arguments to persuade a judge not to take your shit away, is that really going to work out for you? You see what they did there? They put the requirements for due process in there, but they crippled the person who would defend himself against those accusations. You understand what I'm saying? Michael Swanson was good. Anarchy Television, what's up? Who do we call when the government murders, deals, and extort? Exactly. So people, Guns and Gadgets, Langley Outdoors Academy, the Armed Scholar, all the, GOA, NRA, Rifle and Pistol Association, all these groups. Yeah, we donate money to you. You spend money on lawyers to fight these unlawful and unconstitutional violations. But when are we going to take the necessary step? When are we going to take them to court for violating 18 U.S. Code 242 and 241? When are we going to actually call for them to be punished when they violate? Because even though they're Congress people and they're Republicans Congress people and senators and all this stuff, and they have the power to make laws and all that type of shit, they can't just make laws that violate your rights. You understand? They can't just do that just because they don't have carte blanche to strip you of your rights. One law at a time. They don't have that right. You understand? And that's why 18 U.S. Code 241 and 242 was in there, to keep these motherfuckers in check. But I even told what's his name from Guns and Gadgets in a super chat. He didn't read the super chat, but I told him the same thing I told Langley Outdoors Academy. We need to call for these people's arrest. I'm not calling for violence. This is the thing. You know, when people hear shit like that come out of real freedom lovers' mouths, they get scared, they get frightened. They don't want to bring that attention to themselves. But no one's calling for violence. I'm only calling for what is enshrined in the Constitution and what's, you know what I'm saying? That's all I'm calling for. I'm calling for these motherfuckers to be held accountable. Not just taking the court and, you know, trying to remove the laws that they put into place. No, they need to be punished for initiating these laws in the first place, for blatantly and openly going against the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. That's all I'm calling for. But you too scared? What's up? You guys have these huge voices. You have all this influence. You have all these people that look up to you and, you know what I'm saying, listen to you. But you don't have, what's up? Why can't you take that extra step? Because it's right there for you to do it. It's right there for the people to hold these people accountable for. That's why the 18 U.S. Code 241 says deprivation of rights under the color of law. Very specific. They're talking about lawmakers, they're talking about law enforcers, and they're talking about judges. You understand what I'm saying? That's why that shit's in place. That's why it calls for deaths when people are arrested while having their rights violated. That's why it calls for death when people are injured and killed while having their rights deprived under the color of law. That's why it calls for that. It's a tool for us to use against these people that violate us, that violate our rights on a daily basis. But when I tell them, let's call for this, let's call for this, for these violations to be punished for. No, you don't want that. You don't want to do that. I don't understand it. And Gilliver says people need to take the power back. Governors, exactly. I don't know. I don't know why they're scared. You know, the way is for them to take. You know, there's an avenue for it. There's a capability of it. These people have this capability. They have these huge voices. They can reach millions and hundreds of thousands of people. They can organize people and get people together and they have all these contacts. They have contacts with all these pro-2A groups and senators, and they have this far-reaching capabilities, but they don't want to take that extra step. They don't want to say, look, it's time to turn up the heat on these lawmakers, these law enforcers, and these judges. We need to turn up the heat on them and let them know, we know there is a way for us to punish you for violating our rights. Not just waiting to see if a Republican is going to, step up or wait for a judge to make a decision. Like, we can't rest our freedoms on Clarence Thomas's shoulders. Let's say Clarence Thomas is a real one, right? Is a real freedom lover, even though there are some things people are trying to say he's radical or some shit, trying to remove contraception as a way, or condoms, and trying to, all this other shit. He's just one individual judge, and he's old as hell. So why are we resting? Why are we putting all this on Clarence Thomas's shoulders? Clarence Thomas, all he can do is interpret laws, right? He can interpret laws because that's what judges do. That's what the judicial branch is for, to interpret the law and make sure it's understood what this law is supposed to do. You understand? And interpret how it affects the Constitution or whatever. That's what they're there for. But they're not going to be able to stop people from violating the Constitution. You know, because California is already like, oh, okay, well, we have to get rid of the good cause, but we can still keep good moral character as a requirement to get your permit. When it's subjective, and Clarence Thomas made it clear, it has to be an objective requirement. It can't be subjective, right? It can't be based on subjectivity. And determining if someone has good moral character, who is going to determine that? A person who's going to be subjective, right? It's not objective, but they're still trying it anyway. See what I'm saying? What's Clarence Thomas going to go? He going to go down there and whoop the Attorney General's ass in the state of California? What is he going to do? There's nothing he can do. You know what I'm saying? So what's going to happen? They're going to keep this good cause shit in there. People aren't going to be able to get their firearm, aren't going to be able to conceal carry in California. They're going to have to file another lawsuit, spend more money to take it to the Judge Benitez, right? He's gonna shoot it down. He's gonna say it's unconstitutional. Then it's gonna go to the 3-judge panel. They're gonna do whatever. You know what I'm saying? They might agree with Benitez. They might not. Then it's gonna go to it's gonna go through all the bullshit again. See what I'm saying? And that's what these states are gonna do. They're gonna say, oh, you know what? We're gonna do it this way, do it that way. We're gonna charge $800,000 for them to get their permit, and we're gonna make them go through 100 hours of training and all. It's just, come on, man. They're just gonna pile it on. You know why? Kavanaugh gave them that avenue and that capability to do so. When he said, oh, you can still require a permit, you can still do this, do that. You see what I'm saying? Right? Clarence Thomas cleared the way for our rights to be restored. And then Kavanaugh swooped in and said, nah, you still got to get permission if the state wants it. And you call that a victory? Come on, man. Miss me. Anyway, I got to get out of here. I agree, Snap. It's hard to get the information out on channels like me and you that doesn't have the reach and the other channels. Yeah. Because those other channels are, you know, they're not going over the line that keeps them from advancing in terms of subscriber count and views and all this. They're not taking it to that level. You understand what I'm saying? They're still soft on crime, right? And that's what they're soft on crime. They don't want to call for the arrest of individuals who are clearly breaking the law. Breaking the law. But that's what these lawmakers do. They break the law every day. Every time they pass a law, they're breaking the law. Anyway, I got to get out of here. Much love, like, share, subscribe. I just want to come in and do that quick live stream real quick. And much love. And let's keep marching forward to our freedom. Peace.